definitely I noticed as well with this episode of Twin Star Exorcist and the last one before that, I think this is probably the lowest slump that we've had in Twin Star Exorcist, where, like, 6th episode, like, there's a reason why I didn't talk about it, and I ended up doing about that discussion, talking about, oh, is filler fine in anime and stuff, which I'll link it down below, because it was a lot, like, that last week's video had heavily a lot to do with that, and it's especially how, like, the fan base is being, like, taken out on this series about, like, oh, fuck it, it's changing material around, it's doing this, it's doing that, and it's like, oh, no, like, this, like, looks shitty, it's the worst anime of the season, which, trust me, you look at Big Order, that's the fucking worst one in the series. At least the guys have fucking underage, like, fucking sisters and shit like that. Trust me. That, and it doesn't have, and that and Twin Star doesn't have shitty CGI and art and, like, terrible fucking characters, like, for the most part. I mean, hey, the guys from Twin Star, they're pretty, like, so far, they're pretty, like, generic shonen, but they ain't trying to attempt to be this big, powerful thing in the series. That kind of gives you a right mindset to come into this review, doesn't it? So we find out from the first part of the episode, like, what I was really excited with, because it had a cool setup. It was like, oh, we meet Mini Cohen Jr. again. He's like, he's there with, like, the other, like, generals. I was like, oh shit, let's see what, if we're gonna find out more about that. Like, especially that chick with, like, the big long hat and, like, the dress and the Victorian dress. I was like, oh, we're gonna find out about him. But it's like, oh no, Arima's actually going out to see the Twin Stars himself because he's got a special trial going on for him. I was like, alright, like, what are we going to have? We're going to have to face a demon, they're going to have to work together or something like that? Like, what's going to happen? Are they going to be in the mountains or anything like that? Training and learning how to, like, get along with each other? Turns out they go to a fucking his own summer vacation home, and pretty much that happens where it's like, oh no, you guys are going to have to eat, sleep, you know, all be together, all at the same time, and that's what you got to do and all that. And then there was like, oh, plot twist, instead of like you two having one room, you two guys actually had this double room and you got to jump out of it to get escape, and it's like all twisted and it's all fucked up, and it's like, you know, there was some silly moments from there, but for the most part of what I told you, like that, and then it was like, they finally escape, like there's a big like news of like, you know, like all the monsters they're there to take care of. That comes out and it's like, oh yeah, we use the teamwork that we just learned in the episode. That's the majority of the episode, like barring the whole stuff that we found out about the brother, which was like, alright, so which is kind of leading up, like why would they kind of like shade out this character's face, and like from what exactly like the like last bit, like what we saw the opening is probably building up to. My guess is that that's probably going to be the brother, like that guy, like with what we saw in the eye patch. He's probably going to be the brother or something, like in some manner, or he's going to be related to Rokudo in some way. That's probably how it's going to be going down. But from what I saw, like especially with this episode, like I didn't really care for last week's episode a lot. But I will say this one, it felt pretty generic in some ways, where it's like, yeah, you kind of knew that the moral of the day was going to be finding out about Lester. I mean, there was some funny moments here and there, but there wasn't enough to really, like, it just felt like a pacing issue throughout the entirety of, like, the episode. And this is the one where I would say, this felt like a OVA or like just a random filler episode where it's like they had to pan time just to put this out. Like, so like if like with the fairy tale ones, like they're doing a bunch of the OVAs out of the specials, but that isn't canon material, like a lot of that stuff. That's just special chapters that, you know, Hero's done. Like I was like, alright, so he's just doing those chapters like out there, and that's kind of the same mentality that I get for it. But then I realized this is an episode, and then the parts that's supposed to be making me funny, or they're supposed to be doing something else to get me real interest, it's not doing as well as what I've seen from other shows, and it isn't executing it that right. Overall though, I am probably going to give this one a 4.5 out of 10. I know that's a pretty low score. I mean, I still do enjoy Blue Exorcist. I think people are going way too fucking far with like how they're fucking critiquing it and all that, saying, oh, this fucking is like, it's the worst anime of all fucking time, it's a 0 out of 10. Like, honestly, people acting like fucking children on that shit. Like, if you, like I said, Big Order, that's the fucking worst one right there. And that's fucking legit fucking reasons on that shit. Just terrible fucking story, art, CGI. Whew, I could go into more, but no, this ain't a Big Order video, but it's like, there's so much stuff wrong with that show. And then, like, for what, like, exactly Twin Star, and it knows exactly what it is. It knows it's a shonen series, it's a simple shonen series, and it knows that, and it does its own little thing with it. And I'm like, you know what, for what it's doing with it, and what it does with the formula, you know, it's alright. But I will definitely say, though, I hope it really improves the episode 8 to 12, because, boy oh boy, I will definitely like agree that this episode and last episode were the weakest ones so far in the anime, and I like if this ever comes out on Blu-ray over here, I am probably not going to be looking forward to picking up these again. Probably the only time I'll ever watch these episodes again is just probably to hear the dub on them, if like the dub comes out for it. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But that's all from me. Thank you much for watching as always. If you love me as always, and you hit that like, you hit that subscribe. But I'll see you guys next time.